Now it's almost a decade since the spiritual leader Sri M mediated a truce between the Sangh Parivar and the CPIM to end their decades old political feud or political vendetta in Kerala and especially in Kannur district. That truce was actually an earth shattering event in Kerala politics. It actually radically changed Kerala politics. But that has not been discussed or that has not been given the importance that it really deserved by Kerala media. Actually, political analysts or political or intelligentsia of the state or even political leaders have not discussed the deal or the truce to the degree that it really deserved. What could be the reason for that? I am a person who believes that it was actually that truce that led to the second Pinarayi Vijayan government. It was the first time that CPIM or the LDF could retain power in Kerala. Till the recent years, power used to be changed between the left and the Congress in alternate terms. But for the first time, during the last assembly election, CPIM retained power. I am sure that that could be one of the outcomes of the truce between the CPIM and Sangh Parivar and end of political violence in Kerala, especially in Kannur district. Before that, you know, hundreds of people had been injured. Hundreds of cadres of both Sangh Parivar and the CPIM had been injured. Scores of people were killed. Even the state level leaders of both groups were not left alone. They were also attacked. But the truce changed the political scenario. Now the killing fields of Kannur are not the same. I still remember the self-proclaimed intelligentsia in Kerala and the self-proclaimed cultural leaders of Kerala used to praise the violence in Kannur. They used to glorify the culture of political violence. And there were many groups who added fuel to the fire. So here I have certain doubts and they remain unanswered. These are puzzles. Who actually instigated violence in Kannur? Was it just the political difference between both these groups? Absolutely not. I don't think so. Now, the second question is why the media and political thinkers and analysts fail to discuss this issue or give the truth the importance that it really deserved? No answer to that. Who actually benefited out of this violence? That is a real question. Now, when a crime happens, the police, one of the main objectives of the police is what was the motive behind the crime? Was there a conspiracy behind the crime? Who really benefits from the crime? Actually, a crime is committed by those who really benefit out of it. Now, these are serious questions we need to look into. Let's get to the bottom of the whole issue. Welcome to Insights. I am Hari Kumar. Let's start from the beginning of the truce. As I said, even I didn't know the details of the truce. I have been told by many people and I have read a few reports that it was Mr. Sri M who mediated a deal between the CPIM and the Sangh Parivar. But those reports were not authentic. So I refuse to believe that. But the other day, I saw the video of an interaction between journalists of the New Indian Express and Sri M. There Sri M himself conceded that it was he who mediated. But he, being a very humble person, he said he didn't play a great role, and that all happened. And both the groups were actually willing to end the violence. That was the way he put it. But anyway, let's start from the beginning of the talks. The talks happened in 2014-15. Sri M said during his walk from Kanyakumari, peace walk from Kanyakumari to Kasargod, when it reached Kannur, cadres of both Sangh Parivar and the left parties accompanied him. And that actually sowed seeds of hope in his mind that clashes between those two groups could be stopped in Kannur. And then he realized that peace was a goal that could be achieved. He said first he talked to CPIM Kerala leaders. They said they were willing. They don't want the violence to continue. But it depended on the will of RSS leadership. That was what they said. Following that, Sri M said he went and met RSS central leadership. He didn't name them, but he said he met RSS central leaders. Perhaps from his words, there was a hint that he could have met Prime Minister Narendra Modi also, and could have got permission from him. Anyway, he conveyed that to the CPIM leaders, and they were very happy. 3 rounds of discussions were held in Kannur, and eventually, he said he was surprised during the talks that both sides were willing to end clashes, and peace was a target that could be achieved. And eventually, he achieved that. He said then Kannur district collector also played a key role. He followed up the top level discourse. The top level discourse was held between state level leaders, and then a district level leader. He said what surprised him that he met the then Kannur district secretary of the CPIM, Mr. P. Jayarajan, who was reported to be a bet noya of the Sangh Parivar, who himself was attacked, got injured in clashes, and he said the image portrayed by others about him was wrong. Then Sri M said, then he realized that this man was not against peace, and he also realized that peace was achievable, and that was why he was able to take the whole mission forward. That was what he said. Now, let's look into other aspects. Actually, clashes between both CPIM and Sangh Parivar began a few decades ago. I think, though generally the belief in Kerala is that the whole Kannur district is violence hit, that's actually wrong. The clashes between the CPIM and Sangh Parivar actually happens only in a few pockets in Kannur district. For example, Talaseri, then Iriti, then Kutuparamba, then certain pockets in Payanur. So it's not as outsiders think the whole district is not engulfed in violence. Only a few pockets are hotbeds of violence, and that itself proves that it can be controlled. So the first question after truce is achieved is, now, was it ideological difference between the CPIM and the RSS that led to the physical violence? From the data available on the public domain, from the words of Sri M, it is clear that it was actually not ideological difference. If it was ideological difference that sparked violence, then nobody would have been able to stop it through talks. This is what history teaches us. Not just history. If you take examples of violence, ethnic violence, war between two different groups in other countries, we would realize that simply peace talks cannot achieve peace. Many sectarian violences or political violence or ethnic violence will end only when one group subjugates the other. Look at the Tamil Sinhala violence in Sri Lanka that ended after Sinhalese army subjugated Tamil militia groups. Look at the violence, the sectarian violence that happens in parts of Africa. There also the same thing happened. In Rwanda, the same thing happened. In every part of the world that happens. You cannot bring peace if it has got basic reasons like ideological difference or other basic reasons. So now it becomes clear that Kannur violence was not because of ideological reasons or any basic reasons. Somebody else might have instigated that. The sparks were made by someone else. As I said, to find the real culprits of a violence, we need to look into who really benefited out of that. And I think both the CPIM and the Sangh Parivar need to check that. Who really benefited from the violence between two groups? Who was the man who exploited by creating violence? Who was the wolf that made two rams fight each other and benefit out of that? So it is in the benefit of the whole Kerala will benefit if somebody is able to find the real forces that instigated violence in Kannur. Now there are other aspects also. Why the media and political thinkers or political analysts in Kerala fail to analyze this truth threadbare? I think there could be two factors. Some people might not have discussed that because they were afraid that if details of the truce came out, someone will be able to subvert the truce. So that could be a positive thinking. But then there could be some negative thinking also. Because if it became clear that the violence between or clashes between the CPIM and Sangh Parivar ended, then they would lose something. There would be some forces that would lose something. Anyway, I think there are hidden forces hidden behind the scene. Behind the curtain, there were many forces, and there are also. I think somebody needs to tear apart the curtain and bring to light the whole truth. Now, why Sri M decided to tell about the whole issue? That also could be part of someone else's decision to let the world know about the whole truth and to let the world know that clashes between these parties will be no more acceptable, and there is no ideological sanctity for the clashes. Anyway, that was an interesting interview and interesting development. I feel that it was that truth that helped CPIM to return to the power. The Sangh Parivar also has benefited out of that. Meet you with updates in the coming days. Till then, goodbye.